Residents are enrolled on the digital ID platform or system. That digital ID can be used from all online resources that will provide information and also support information sharing. Stay within the system. So, for example, the we technology about this people who can see, there are people who can hear. Sometimes we talk about these digital tools and services and not factory another procedure or I should say problem that we have in terms of adaptation and use of these digital services is cost of data, right? And so of course, which is something similar. The data is very expensive. So it's not difficult, but if you really want users to be able to access services, you need to get access to data. And if data is expensive, these people are thinking about their daily right? Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And instead of spending a lot of money to get data, they will think about and that is why I think the issue is that sometimes we need a lot of right? To provide
Allô? sur le continent africain. J'espère qu'on aura beaucoup de TAMWILCOM un peu partout en Afrique. C'est l'objectif. Aujourd'hui, d'abord, je commence par introduire mes invités. J'ai mon ami Thrive, Edgy, CEO de Thrive. Ils sont mais trop jeunes, hein, trop jeunes tous. I'm saying that you are all MDs, but you are all young people. And then, I have so Kamal Yaqub from Ghana. So, okay, is from Nigeria. Kamal Yaqub from Ghana. I have Mr. Sata Abraham, the head of strategy for leadership from Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. And Sowit from Morocco, representing North Africa. So you can see that we have a nice representation of the continent. Aujourd'hui, on va parler de l'importance de l'agriculture et de son importance dans la contribution à la réduction de ce qu'on appelle l'insécurité alimentaire sur le continent africain. En quelques mots, en Afrique, on importe chaque année l'équivalent de 93 milliards de dollars de produits agricoles pour la consommation de notre population. Et il y a 3 graines qui représentent 50% de notre consommation et qui est l'une des plus grandes parties des importations, qui est le blé, le maïs et le riz. Sur le continent africain, on exploite 67 millions d'hectares sur les 3 graines, maïs et riz, et on produit l'équivalent de 155 millions de tonnes pour une consommation annuelle de l'équivalent de 240 millions de tonnes. Donc il y a l'équivalent de 90 millions de tonnes de déficit. Il y a 3 chiffres intéressants lorsqu'on parle de sécurité alimentaire. Le premier chiffre, c'est que cette consommation va augmenter de 50% d'ici 2030 parce qu'on est un continent jeune et on va devenir l'équivalent de 1,3 milliard de population d'ici 2030. Donc, si aujourd'hui on importe 90 millions de tonnes, on va importer encore plus. C'est rien d'ici 2030. La deuxième information, c'est que l'agriculture, elle représente en moyenne 20 à 30% des GDP, des PNB des pays. Donc, elle contribue d'une manière importante aux revenus de nos États. Et surtout, l'agriculture est le plus gros employeur dans tous les pays. On parle de parfois l'équivalent de 40 à 60% d'employés dans le secteur agricole. Et enfin, le chiffre à ajuster, c'est que seulement 2 à 3% des financements bancaires vont à l'agriculture. Donc on est sur un secteur critique, important. On est sur un secteur en matière d'employabilité stratégique pour le pays, mais malheureusement, en matière d'encours de financement, c'est le plus faible en matière de target. La dernière information avant de clôturer et passer aux panélistes, c'est que 80% des agriculteurs sur le continent africain, que ce soit au Maroc, en Égypte, en Tunisie, au Nigeria, à l'exception du Maroc, je pense, en Éthiopie, c'est toujours la même chose, 80% des agriculteurs sont des smallholder farmers, sont de très petits agriculteurs qui parfois ont moins de 2 hectares ou même moins de 1 hectare. Et c'est à partir de là où on s'est dit, sans technologie, comment on pourrait agréger des millions d'agriculteurs. Par exemple, au Maroc, on parle de 1,6 million d'agriculteurs, dont 80% ont moins de 2 hectares. Comment on peut agréger 1,2 million d'agriculteurs sans faire un effet de levier de la technologie? Et nous, à IFC, on s'est posé une question. How to leverage technology to transform agriculture? Comment on peut faire un effet de levier de la technologie pour transformer le secteur agricole? Et c'est à partir de là où on a fait un mapping et on a découvert qu'il y a beaucoup de jeunes entrepreneurs qui sont très actifs et qui sont en train d'utiliser la technologie pour développer l'agriculture sur le continent. Et je vais présenter rapidement mes agtech aujourd'hui. On les a invités. On a 4 agtech très performantes dans la région. Je vais commencer par Sata Abraham et Larcha. Larcha, ils ont l'équivalent de 200 000 agriculteurs dans leur plateforme qu'ils gèrent un-to-un. Et surtout, ils jouent le rôle de connecter les smallholder farmers avec les input providers, avec toute la chaîne de valeur, de acheter les sites jusqu'à vendre leur produit final et surtout les aider en matière d'agronomie. Il va en avoir l'opportunité après d'en parler avec plus de profondeur. Sowit, c'est une actech qui existe depuis des années au Maroc. C'est l'exemple parfait de 2 choses, à mon avis. Comment améliorer et développer l'agriculture de précision mais l'a ramené à monsieur tout le monde, a démocratisé l'accès à la technologie avec une agronomie de précision qui impacte la productivité. Mais surtout, moi je les appelle la Rolls-Royce de la data pour le secteur bancaire. Ils ont des capacités énormes à produire de la data qui aide les banques à apprécier mieux le risque de l'agriculteur en matière de financement. Euh, et puis j'ai trop. Kamel a créé quelque chose de très important. Il a ubérisé les équipements agricoles pour les agriculteurs. On sait que les smallholder farmers, tout est cher pour eux. Ils n'arrivent pas à investir pour un tracteur ni pour une moissonneuse-batteuse. Et donc, accéder à ce service pour leurs besoins avec des prix abordables, affordable cost, est important. Et il a dans sa plateforme, qui est l'équivalent de Uber pour les équipements agricoles, l'équivalent de 7000 pièces. Ce qui est énorme. Il est essentiellement au Ghana, mais il est actif au Togo, au Nigeria et dans plusieurs pays aux alentours. Et enfin, Thrive. Lorsqu'on a fait le mapping de Actec, on a trouvé que le Nigeria est un pays très avancé. Vous allez surpris, Thrive à lui seul, il gère 750 000 agriculteurs dans sa plateforme. Et c'est de la gestion end-to-end, les aides depuis les seeds jusqu'à la récolte et jusqu'à la vente de leurs produits. So, like I said, I'm going to switch to English. So, Hamza from Sowet, in your opinion, what are the key drivers for transforming the agriculture sector into a community of agriculture entrepreneurs who can utilize technology and best agricultural practices, as well as the quality of fertilizer and seeds, with the main objective to improve yields?
Thank you, Riyad, for the opportunity. Thank you, TAMWILCOM, for hosting this panel, and also IFC for enabling technology and finance to be combined. I believe that when you look at a farm, what you need to look at are bottlenecks. What prevents farmer for realizing a certain productivity, a certain performance. And science tells that you have three factors that are important. You have genetics, you have the practices, and you have the environment. If you want to be able to have farmers transformed into entrepreneurs, you want to make them earn money. You want to make this activity attractive. If you want to make it attractive, you need to upgrade productivity. Quality also, because they need also to get premiums on the market, but you need to make this activity profitable for them. And also you need to make it an activity that is attractive in the crop management, the use of technology, in the interaction they have with different stakeholders. It's very hard, and Trotro maybe will touch upon it, but mechanization and harvesting and all these operations, this is really working day and night, 40 degrees Celsius. It's a hard job. So you want to make it profitable, you want to make it attractive, and to make it profitable, you need yield. And if you need yield, you need to act upon R&D. So first, I believe R&D is very important to bring right technology, right genetics, crops that are resilient to stress, crops that are resilient to diseases. Second, technology in order to help farmers improve their practices, because they need to upgrade the way they irrigate, they fertilize, they sow, they harvest, because every single operation is an opportunity to earn more because of precision agriculture and of switching the reasoning from doing things they were doing year after year to a reasoning in which they are optimizing based on every single square meter of the farm. And then you have the environment. And the environment is about being able to understand it, being able to kind of dance with the climate change, understand what is going on, understand the rain patterns, understand how your soil is degrading, how we can act upon these different parameters that are making farming completely different from how it used to be. So my belief is that if we succeed making farmers earn more, with more comfort also, we will succeed fixing our people in rural areas, building more sustainable economies, and generating strong opportunities for the youth that are not only interested in money, but they're interested in being connected and in acting upon technology and connected to the food market they live in.
Thank you, Hamza. Thank you very much. And we'll get back to you later on what you are doing in Morocco, which is something nice to be shared. When I introduced the context of food security in Africa around maize, rice, and wheat, I said that we are harvesting in Africa 67 million hectares and we are producing 155 million tons while we are consuming 240 million tons per year. The other numbers that I missed to share is that if we improve the African productivity of the 67 million currently harvested hectares, by using as a reference the best performance in the continent, we can produce 414 million tons. And we move from a net importers to a net exporters. And that's why productivity discussion is a key discussion for this panel. Sada, Lersha connects smallholder farmers with mechanization and input providers. How does this support the smallholder farmers in improving their crop management and productivity in Ethiopia?
Well, thank you for having me. First of all, I have seen TAMWILCOM. Um, I'm gonna build up on the discussion on productivity. Uh, so, in the Ethiopian context, farmers in Ethiopia are very small. They have less than 1 hectare of land, but they might not be able to expand their land. But there's a lot of room to increase productivity, and Lersha's experience so far is a sentiment. We have farmers who have double, tripled yields, and some of them income by working with us. So our platform provides inputs for farmers that they can buy, but this comes with agroclimate advisory as well, recommended fertilizer and how to use it. And we provide these inputs and mechanization services on time and at the right quality. It's not just the commodity being there, it's also about timing and quality as well. So when farmers can access this, their productivity increase is sometimes very surprising. The yields are, you won't imagine the resulting yields to be this big. But most of the question, for example, my friend here mentioned precision agriculture, which they're doing a great job. Most people might ask, do smallholder farmers can afford all this additional services and products? Well, when you say afford, they might not have the cash or liquidity, but the business can afford it. That's where access to finance comes in. We've done different models at Lershal Farmer Unit Economics. If they have access to finance and invest in the products, they can pay back with their investment. So the ROI is actually interesting. Maybe they can't afford it to buy it by their own cash, but their farm business affords it. So at the end of the day, it is affordable.
Thank you, Sata. And mainly when you improve the productivity, you increase the income automatically. And by increasing the income, you improve the capacity of the farmers to access to debt, to access to services, and even to access to insurance, to be protected from climate insurance. And that's what we are really seeing through the work that you are all doing in Africa. Look, when we talk again about productivity, it's not. It's an important topic, and access to finance is linked to it. But mechanization is key. Only during the harvesting season, mechanization. But by using the right mechanization, you can improve productivity by 20%. So, Kamal, what is your experience here? Because not only equipment are very expensive in terms of investment, but how you are through the architects that you have around you enable the capabilities of access to equipment services in a country like Ghana, for example.
Thank you very much, Riyadh. And I'm happy to be here to share some of the things that we do. Um, it's a very good question. Um, so farmers, once they have mechanization, before we talk about even productivity, we are talking about the time that they save by working with mechanization and the savings that they make in terms of that time that they do. So, for example, um, what a smallholder farmer would do with a cutlass and a hoe and a handheld hoe for, say, 4 days, a tractor can do that in 2 hours. And so imagine what the smallholder farmer would do with the extra time. That is for us a key indicator of the transition we want to do with smallholder farmers from moving from manual labor to mechanization. Now, the easiest way of convincing smallholder farmers and making mechanization accessible and affordable is the aggregation part using technology. So before farming season, smallholder farmers are encouraged to use our platform to request and schedule for farms for mechanization activities. So before the farming season, you have about, say, 10,000 farmers already requesting for services. And those 10,000 farmers can then be given to each tractor. So before the farming season, farmers aggregatedly have paid for mechanization services, and then you can then put tractors to these farmers. And because the farmers are paying in aggregation per acre, it is affordable and it is easy to get access to mechanization when farming season starts. So we normally encourage farmers to apply for the services or request for the services 72 hours before time, because we need to aggregate other farmers with your money to get you a tractor. And farmers understand that, because normally without tractor, what farmers would do is they would pay a nearby tractor. When it is the farming season, I need you to come and serve me. And that time could be even a month. So by bringing technology and making it easier for them, it makes it easier for them to request at affordable prices. Now, the other thing is, we also know that farmers don't have, they live in rural communities and they don't have access to internet like we do in the cities. And so even if you have a smartphone, you cannot use internet. So what we've done is to create a small an SMS-based application on phones like this, and then you can use phones like this to dial SMS and pay with mobile money, which is already integrated with it. So farmers can then do that at the luxury or at the comfort of their home, and then wait for tractors to be delivered onto their farms. Yeah.
Thank you, Kemal. Thank you very much. Okay, again, the AgTech model, and I will get back to you later so to explain, Hamza, what kind of technology are you using? Because I think the audience, they are not familiar. You know, all the satellite technology, the sensors, all the technology that we are using, that normally smallholder farmers could not access to it, and you are playing a huge role in the democratization of access to technology to improve precision. So we will love to go through that kind of evidence, so to share with our audience on what you're doing. 500,000 farmers or 750,000 farmers, you know, in terms of logistics, from seeds to inputs only, it's like distributing 500,000 of tons of seeds and inputs every year, which is a huge. So tell us the story, okay, how you succeed to really, after more than a decade, to onboard these levels of these numbers of farmers in Nigeria, and how the technology and the agent network that you developed contributed to improvement of the yields.
All right, thank you very much, Riyad. First off, it's good to be here. The work we do at Tribe and Greek is very, very intense. I think I must say that. And it requires a lot of operational activity that goes on, operational rigor, right? To about a decade, work with smallholder farmers in Nigeria, Ghana, and Kenya, and nearly a million farmers. It takes a lot of presence in these communities, right? So we currently have about 2,000 in these communities who their job is to onboard the farmers in these communities and also give them extension services. Primarily, many of the services are offline because, as you said, there's no internet penetration within these communities. And most times, best source of financial services to these farmers, because most of these farmers don't have identification, And what we have to do is to create unique identification for farmers so that they can be able to have access to financing. But one thing is core is, and which I was excited hearing him say, is that a farmer is not crazy. If a farmer is not producing, he's not going to scale. I mean, if he's not increasing yield, he's not going to scale. And for a model to be attractive, or for any technology adoption to be attractive to a farmer, he needs to be able to see profits, yield. So what we are called about is to make sure that whatever technology adoption that we give to the farmer, and then as much as technology sounds fancy, we need to be able to provide the technology that is relatable to the farmer, right? As I said, most activities within rural communities are totally offline. So how can we create offline technology? How can we create technology that has to do with that has to do with leading increase in yield? How can we create simple and very nimble things that they can use, that they don't have to rack their brain so much? And then, but the goal at the end of the day is that yield has to increase. Because if a farmer who is doing 1.2 tons does not see a way that can lead him to 4 tons, he can't increase his hectare size. Because I get tired of the word running this for nearly a decade. I get tired of the word smallholder farmers in Africa. And the reason is, if we're going to solve food security in Africa, we have to make the smallholder farmer not to remain smallholder farmers. They have to move up to large scale farming. And then you hear the regular numerics. A smallholder farmer is one who does 1 hectare and below. But sometimes you rarely see a hectare of land. But how can we reduce a hectare of land, increase from 0.2, 0.1 hectare to 5 hectares? That's when we've been able to see results. And that's the kind of result that we are looking at. And then any technology that does not prove itself to scale the yield of the farmers or to provide access to market for the farmer, it's a waste, right? And then for us, what we do are the simple things. We gather the data of the farmers, we collect your locations of the farmers, and then we provide access to market for them to sell. We work to increase their yield, and then that's where at the core of it now, expand the yield so that the farmers can see prosperity and scale their land. So that's good for us.
Thank you, Ka. And I believe based on this first round of questions, we can easily understand that the agtechs, they are not only leveraging the smallholder farmers' productivity by using their technology, but they are all using what we call the phygital model. So leverage technology, but develop an agri-agent network that can help to transform the technology feedback to the client, to the smaller farmers in terms of daily advice. Look, the architects, they are using, like I said, satellite data. You are guys connected with agency like the European Special Agency. You are using sensors, drones, and tell us how all of these. Because the Arctic model is new. So can you share with us how all of this is completely working and how all of this access to technology is transformed on an affordable cost to the farmer through the platform like yours?
So technology has been for us a lever in the beginning to upgrade farm productivity for large-scale farmers. In the beginning, this was not something that was intended to support small-scale farmers. It was used by agronomists, technicians that actually knew what they could do with this technology and what was the purpose in increasing yield, quality, reducing use of inputs of water. This technology became more and more available indeed, with satellite imagery prices really plummeting, by 100 times in a few years recently, with so many programs, installations programs from the European Spatial Agency, from the NASA, and so on. And also sensors that used to cost a lot, like a capacitive probe for soil moisture that used to cost $3,000, it's $50 now, which measures soil moisture and enable you to know the quantity of water that is required. I think that there were 3 trends that were very important. First, accessibility to the technology and availability to the technology. For example, in certain regions in Africa, cloudy regions, satellite imagery is very not that reliable because of the clouds, but you have new imagery, that do cloud filtering, and allows you still to see the land and to have an idea about what it could be like. Predictive analytics based on historical patterns. So the availability is more and more important, and the accessibility related to the price. The second trend that is very important is the lack of resources. You are in Morocco. This year we have 3 million tons of production of wheat, which is probably the lowest year in the 20 last years. This is mainly because of rain patterns that are more and more unexpected. We didn't get rain before the end of November, and also because of soil degradation that is more and more important with climate change and with conventional farming. These lack of resources and climate change make technology more and more necessary for farmers that want to keep their margins, because they need to change, they need to go for other way of doing the land preparation, they need to face different rain patterns, they need to understand if they're going to invest in fertilizer or not, because there was no rain in the last 2 months. And I think that this lack of resources and climate change is also creating a momentum given the accessibility and affordability of the technologies. And the third trend that is important is finance. Finance is more and more making this technology available, not only because some of them has proven to be sufficiently, I would say, impactful on the yield. I mean, mechanization, when you have harvesters that do 10% loss of grain versus harvesters that do 30%, I mean, you've worked all year long. At the end of the day, for one day, you lose 30% of the yield. And sometimes the difference of cost is not significant at all. So there are technologies that proved successful, and corporates, large farms, led this change over the last 5-10 years, proving that it works. But there were no model enabling this technology to work for smallholders. And indeed, with what my colleague from Thrive said, is that we need to digest this on behalf of farmers. What we learned at Sowit is that when you go to smallholder farmers, you cannot have the ambition for any smallholder farmers to directly consume technology. You need to be humble enough to understand that every big village has its dynamic, every farmer talks its language, every person has a purpose and a tactic. And you need to make sure that you build trust with agents that are able to drive this change. So the main change of paradigm that happened for us is understanding that these technologies would not be consumed directly by farmers, but that we need to build a network of trust that enables us to drive change. And building this network of trust requires a lot of effort from a training perspective, from a technology to drive this network efficiently, and of course, from a psychological and social, I would say even behavioral change that need to be led beyond technology.
Thank you, Hamza. And you raised one point which is important: building trust with the community. I think Kuka said something important also, that any technology that will not have a direct impact in improving yields will not be relevant for the smaller farmers. You spoke also about how the rain impacted negatively the season, the wheat season in Morocco. Sata, Lersha Services provided dynamic agroclimate advice. And so how does, and following what Hamza said, how does this information help farmers make informed decisions to mitigate the risk associated with climate variability? We know that in addition to that, there's climate insurance, but not available everywhere, including in Ethiopia. Please.
Well, unfortunately, Ethiopia is still rain-fed agriculture, so we depend on rain. So our farmers are really prone to climate change challenges. And farming, especially in Ethiopia, is a timing game. So if farmers do not close their land on time, and if they miss that season, they miss their whole productive season. And on harvests likewise. So we give agro and climate advisory services to our call center. We give voice blast and SMS services, and our agents are always on the farm following up with the farmers. Um, these days, especially, climate is becoming more and more unpredictable, and it can create losses up to 70%, even the whole thing goes, especially after post-harvest. So the right climate agro advisory or just information, the simple information we think is simple, but when it is specified and given to the farmer at the right time, can save a lot of losses. So I think by saving losses, this service we provide increases the productivity of the farmers.
Thank you, sir. And the reality of the yield and productivity, it's not to be proven. It's proven already. If you look at the market in Nigeria, where there is around 800,000 farmers managed by the agtechs, the yield of, for example, maize is already 2 times. Under the farmers managed by the agtech, it's 2 times more than the agtechs not managed than the farmers not under the agtech umbrella. Um, Kamal, you are surrounded by actors that they are managing hundreds of thousands of farmers. So you explained to us how the urbanization can improve the efficiency of the utilization of your fleet. But how you believe you can continue satisfy the growth of in terms of need, mainly in preparing the lands on time? Because if I am Oka and I need to partner with you and I have 500,000 farmers and I know that the lands needs to be prepared by the next coming 2 weeks, it becomes a huge pressure on the equipment needs. How what you are putting in place can really follow this kind of growth?
Thank you very much. I think the easiest way is to have, as architects, to have APIs integrations where I can share my platform with that of any architect that has registered farmers and they are already working with farmers. It's easy to plug in and provide mechanization services on time. But one thing we know for sure is that what you cannot record, you cannot measure. And so architects would play a very important role by recording the past experience of and plugging them quickly into any other agriculture technology, for example, like tractor, that can help all the farmers at a go. But what I've seen over the past 6 years working with farmers in all the countries that we are operational, Ghana, Togo, Benin, Nigeria, Zimbabwe, and Zambia, is that so the farmers, most of the farmers who do not go in business in season are mostly farmers who are sick. Because the tedious job is tilling the land. And if you're tilling the land with human labor and you are sick, there is nothing you can do. There is even a very worse experience that you are able to read and then you fall sick the next day. You are not able to go to farm. You wait after about another week. By the time you go back, you have to read again and start from zero. And before you realize you are out of season. So what architects or tractor normally would do in that case is to replace human labor with mechanical labor. So that means whether you are sick or not, you are still in business. You can just request and a tractor will come and do the job instead of your manual labor, depending on your manual labor. And the beautiful thing is if you have a bundled service where mechanization is pre-financed, seed is pre-financed, fertilizer is pre-financed, harvesting is pre-financed, and everything is taken from harvest in kind, then it makes the entire process seamless and it increases productivity. Now, the other thing is majority, the average age of a farmer in sub-Saharan Africa is about 55 years. What it means is that those farming for us, without, of course, mechanization, do not have the strength to want to get tired but produce to embrace agriculture and start business. So it is in the interest of all actors, all players in the industry to make mechanization available and accessible to all farmers, regardless of whether they are smallholder farmers, whether they are SME farmers, or whether they are women, whether they are old, whether they are young. But to encourage young people and bring people into agriculture, mechanization would be the easiest way of attracting youth into the system and increase food productivity.
Thank you, Kamal. Um, okay, where you are, it's already impressive. 750,000 farmers. It's a huge number. But in Nigeria, we are talking about 16 to 18 millions of farmers. So the penetration in terms of potential is still huge. And we know that access to finance is key. So, what are the challenges and opportunity Thrive Agri faces in integrating financial services into your agronomic technical assistance support that you are already providing to farmers
Okay. First, I think I'll correct that figure. There are about 46,000, 46 million smallholder farmers
in Nigeria?
in Nigeria. Right. That's pretty large. It shows that it's just a drop in an ocean that we've been able to capture. And so, no matter how excited the figure we've reached, it shows how massive the opportunity is and how massive the problem is. But before I go further, I think I like what he said. What he said recently. I want to be able to speak a little bit on if I respond to the question. One of the how I always like looking at businesses is a farmer is a businessman. How can you reduce his costs and increase his revenue? Right? And means anyone who owns a business is thinking that way. Now, the same thing with everyone with the farmer. If you look at the farmer as a businessman, you are thinking, how can I reduce his cost? How can I increase his revenue? That's you've captured the farmer that way. Now, if there's access to tractors, I mean, he said something fantastic. They're going to reduce cost from 3,000 to 300, $200 or something like that. And then for tractors, imagine if there are tractoring services that are very, I mean, cheaper than the cost that he's doing. I mean, adoption would be a lot more. Adoption for the farmers would be a lot more. And then it will cause a huge transformation. Now, that's just to add to that. And the reason why I had to add to that because I'm very passionate about this. And to respond to your question, it's also similar to this as well. Um, you know, one of the things that we noticed when we started was we had assumptions that if you go to the farmer with we had assumptions that the way rural farmers behave, this was about 10 years ago, was the same way the farmers in the urban communities behave. So, but we felt that there were nuances. For instance, a financial organization would want to fund you, but the dynamics for the rural community is different. We have to ask questions. Why were the financial institutions not funding the farmers, right? But we noticed that there was no, as we all can tell, there was no visibility. First, it was a question of interest. Nobody was interested. There was also the assumption of the financial organization that the farmers don't have money. And I was able to test that. Is it correct that the farmers do not have money? But that's not correct. We noticed that farmers keep their money in goods, right? And if you measure those goods, the goods are more than the money that people in the cities have in banks. I mean, we tested that and noticed that the value of the goods the farmer has in a warehouse was close to $3,000, $13,000. I mean, if you check the bank accounts of many people in the cities, it's not up to that. I mean, that means the farmer is wealthy. But many financial institutions are not careful enough to check these things. But they don't have the partners to be able to check that. So, but how do you help them see if it's not data, right? So what we had to build was how can we build the right collision of data? How can we combine data for people to see? Because at the end of the day, people lend if they can see data. Banks lend if they can see data. I mean, no shade to them. The reason why they've not done that is because they don't have the right data set. So what we've been able to do was to be able to aggregate all of these farmers and then see, okay, and then present them to financial institutions. Now, these are farmers who, although it's a tedious task, right? Because as much as people who have billions in the cities, why should I go to rural communities? You need to be able to bring that consistently for them to be able to believe that there's something here. There's treasure in the. We have to create a tagline in the. There's treasure in the rural community, right? And until that is adopted, we cannot be able to penetrate funds to the rural community. So that's the goal for us at Tribal Group. So as much as, I mean, at the point where we are able to do that from 1 million farmers, we can steadily increase 1 million to 43 million to over, I think in Africa, how many do we have? I think 200, I think, in Africa. I think that's what can happen. Data can solve that.
Thank you. Thank you. And that's what we call for the financial sectors, how we can leverage the architect data to de-risk the smaller farmers approach. Thank you. Okay. Look, it's the final question for the four of you. It's open remarks. Please go ahead and share whatever you believe it's relevant from your side. It's open questions, open remarks.
I think what's important is to see that finance and technology needs to be combined in a way that can help farmers. And I think that I do agree. I'm really surprised by the money farmers can have because they bargain very well, but at the end of the day, there are margins that are quite strong. It's true that they don't necessarily believe financial institutions and they prefer keeping things in goods because these are, I would say, traditional learnings. You have cattle, so when the year is not going well, you can get this out. And then you have some also other trees that providing money, cash flow over another period of time. But what's very important for us is to understand that we need to align all the players that are within the value chain if we want at the end of the day these farmers to perform and to feed us. And it's true that the most difficult players to align were financial institutions in the beginning, simply because the way they do assess risk doesn't really work when you go to farming. Collateral, morality, profit and loss, solvency, all of these things do not really work because these people work over a year season, so you don't collect necessarily cash flow over the year because collateral and land ownership is complex enough, or land tenure sometimes is not that reliable, and also because they simply don't want to involve that much in rural areas to build relationship. Because at the end of the day, it's a matter of building relationship with someone and trusting this person in paying back. So I do believe that by aligning these stakeholders, we will trigger a momentum for farmers, and the data is key for this. Because as long as this data proves that these farmers is low risk, and as long as everyone works based on these data to deliver everything the farmer needs from seed to sale to perform well, everyone will be happy at the end of the season to earn with farmers. And I believe that this could also be a change of mindset, even psychology mindset from farmer perspective that do not necessarily perceive financial institutions as proactive or positive in the way they are understanding what they're doing and in the way that they are helping them. So our role is to create alignment, and the role of data is to make this alignment as rational and as scientific as it could be in order for it to be sustainable.
Thank you. Thank you, Hamza. Sada?
Well, I think what I'd like to say is I'd like to build on what my friend said here. The farmer is a businessman, a small businessman, but a businessman definitely. So I think in terms of mentality, if we see farmers out of pity, whatever solution we give may not be sustainable. If they are provided with great value and their productivity increases, they're ready for business. If financial institutions lend to farmers out of pity or CSR and things like that, it doesn't work. I believe, especially in Ethiopia, going on and on, if we're innovative about our financial structuring instruments and products, farmers might be one of the most bankable and profitable, actually, to bank in Ethiopia. So treat it as, I believe, to treat it as a business and a lucrative business to work with farmers. Russia has been very successful working with farmers. Farmers are our customers, and we're not shy about it. They pay us for the services we provide, and the more productive they are, the more money we make, the more our company grows. So we should be bold about them as solid business people and do not diminish them into pity.
Thank you, Stan. Kamal?
I totally agree with what my colleagues have said. Um, let's stop seeing farming as agriculture, but to see it as agribusiness. So it is a business in agri. And so I totally agree. What I will add is that for farmers, we need to make farming easy and easy to do, to broaden the population of farmers, or to actually make farming easy through technology. And you can see that from tractor, providing, replacing manual labor with mechanization. And immediately we see that, or anyone who sees that it is easy to sit in a place and request for tractor to do 100 hectare or 50 without buying a whole tractor and getting results from that as business, then we would make a lot of progress. Um, Science, technology, engineering, mathematics should be deployed into the agribusiness to make agriculture more profitable through the kind of actors that we are currently providing. So that is what I would say.
Thank you, Kamal. Okay.
I think a lot has been said here already, and I think it's been a very good conversation so far. I guess that all of us to make sure that we are doing our work and make sure we partner with the right stakeholders to do it. Again, um, for all of us who have the right data, I hope we have the right people to share that with, and we have so that we can be able to scale the future of the smallholder farmers, because that's the treasure that exists in Africa. There's a lot of mouths to feed, a lot of hungry people that die every day, and we might live in urban areas and might not see the pain of the lack of food, but the people in the regular places around, they are going through a lot. So there's a lot of work that we need to do to be able to solve the problem of food security. So I think that yeah, we can overcome.
Thank you, Kat. And we have seen, we strongly believe on the AgTech model. Look, if we intend to reduce food security at least around the three crops, rice, maize, and wheat, by 2030 by 50%, we need you guys to cover 5 million hectares, and we need to support the financing of the 5 million hectares by 2030, which is something equivalent to $7 billion. So it's not a big deal for the continent. Look, smallholder farmers are on the front lines, facing the immediate impacts of droughts and extreme weather events. We can see that the International Food Policy Research expect or project the numbers, that the global maize production could shrink by 24% by 2050. And even the monetary fund highlights that each 1 degree Celsius increase in temperature could lead to 3 percentage point reduction in agriculture output in developing countries, with crops yield in sub-Saharan Africa projected to decline by 5 to 17% in 2050. So what we are doing, I believe it's something extremely relevant, important, the AgTechs, and I think the foundation being led by you guys suggests a promising future, while financial inclusion is an integral part of the agricultural ecosystem. So thank you again for your contribution. Thank you for coming from far to GITEX in Marrakech, and let's continue the journey together. Thank you to the audience also. Bye. See? Well done, guys.
Let's take a picture together.